Morning. Good morning. Hello, everyone. How are you today? I hope you are well. If you're tuning in on the replay, do give me a hashtag replay in the comments so I can come and say hello to you at a later date. Please do let me know if you are tuning in. I'm just going to pull up the chats, excuse me, on my system so that I have everything and I'm able to see all of the questions or any comments or questions that you guys have. So thank you so much for tuning in. I can see a few of you starting to hop on live. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, Charlotte. Thank you for joining me. Please do say hello if you are tuning in live. I would love to know that you are here. It means a lot to me if you do. So please do come and say hello when you are tuning in live. For those of you that are new to me, those of you that have not watched any of my live sessions before, my name is Annette Ferguson. I am CEO of Annette & Co, UK-based accounting firm. I am a chartered accountant and certified Profit First professional. I help business owners take home lots more money from their business. Of course, at this point in time, that can be incredibly challenging, which is why I have started these live streams weekdays at 11 a.m. to try and support you both during this time and, of course, beyond. So any questions that you have with the details, with the things that I covered today, please do ask me in the comments. This session is all around UK business and coronavirus and various updates. We've had a number of updates happen over the last 24 hours, which have been important. So I am going to be covering those off. Hello, Charles. Hello, Craig. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, Matt. Hello, Pikachu. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Knowing when lockdown will end is a very, very difficult question for me to answer. I'm not privy to any of the medical knowledge. Of course, we've seen in England, there is a slight easing and a slight change of message. And in England, they have put a plan there. In Scotland and Wales, of course, the message has not changed. So it looks like we're actually going to be, playing a part as a UK when it comes to the various areas, the various countries within the UK as well. So it's a difficult one to answer when lockdown will end. I hope that it is kept long enough for the medical side of things to be covered off. So Charlotte says, do you think my dad should let me go back to school before the start of June? Charlotte, this is a really tricky question to answer. And in all honesty, Charlotte, if I'm actually in Scotland, so up here, kids are not going back at the beginning of June or before. And my completely personal opinion, not professional opinion at all, completely personal opinion of mine is that I wouldn't want to be sending my kids to school at the beginning of June or before, based on the current situation. But that is my own very personal opinion, and that is not a medical opinion in any way. So that's kind of where I sit on that. Hannah, thank you so much for joining me. Where am I from? I'm based in Scotland. I am Scottish. I'm from Aberdeen originally, and I'm now in the Scottish borders. So I am covering off UK business on this session as a result of that. Charlotte saying your dad said he wouldn't let you go back. Yeah, I wouldn't let my kids go back either. So I feel for you there. Okay, good. And I understand that, many kids want to see their friends and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would be the same if I was your dad. Sorry, Charlotte. Okay, so yeah, we're here. I missed who said that, but I saw somebody say that in Dubai they're not going back for the rest of the year. Oh, okay, awesome. Hello, Adopt Me 1274. Thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate it very, very much. So I want to get into the kind of topics that I want to speak about today. I do appreciate all the love though in the comments, particularly on TikTok. Thank you so much for joining me. It's lovely to have some of you chatting in there. So thank you. I do appreciate that very, very much. I love my TikTok audience incredibly much. Huge love to you guys. Of course, I love all other audiences, but on TikTok, they talk to me much more than the rest of you do. So please do speak to me in the comments. Let me know you are here. Hello, Preet. Hello, it's just Ben on Periscope. Thank you for tuning in. Hello, Angus. Thanks for tuning in on Instagram. So the first thing I want to speak about today is, of course, the announcement yesterday from the Chancellor of the extension of furlough. Now, what we need to note with the extension of furlough is that it is extended under the same conditions, the same terms as is currently up until the end of July. And then between August and October, there's going to be different rules around furlough. So extended in exactly the same way that it operates now up until the end of July. So that's a 1 month full extension on the current process and the current situation. What is then going to happen is between August and the end of October, there is going to be a slight change to the system, which will potentially allow people to come back and work part-time and be furloughed part-time. So this is a real change from the message that we had before, furloughed work, people cannot work, they are not allowed to do any work for their company. This is, this was the kind of ground rule of furlough. However, from August until the end of October, that is going to change. Those rules around that are going to change, and it's going to be opened up so that people are able to be furloughed part-time and work part-time. So what will happen under this is that the employee will still get 80% of their wages, but some of that will come from the government and some will come from the employer. We are told that we're going to be told the finer details of that towards the end of May. And that's basically what's been announced. Now, we're currently hearing that there are around 7 million people now on furlough. This number keeps going up. We had expected when this system opened for it to be closer to 9 million. So it's interesting that that we're sitting around the 7 million mark at the moment for people on furlough. Good morning, Kaylee. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good morning, unruly tay _slime. Is that how I'm pronouncing you? Good morning. Interesting username. I'd like to know the story behind that. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for following, Hannah. I do appreciate it very much. Adopt Me 12 is saying they're from Ireland. Thank you for tuning in. Hello, good morning, Orkney Mama Boys. Good morning. Cananijiv on Instagram. I'm not even sure if that's how you pronounce your username, but good morning to you too. Thank you so much for joining me. Barry is saying he works in the leisure industry, so it wouldn't be safe to go back to work. No, some industries are not going back to work already. Of course, we heard at the earlier in the week that, or rather on Sunday, that businesses were to start going back from today. Of course, that only really applies to some industries. So it only applies to places where people can safely social distance and where all the measures have been taken to ensure that. So we need to make sure that we understand what that is if we are an employer, that we are making sure that our workplace is completely safe for staff to return, and that all social distancing measures can be adhered to before we ask staff to return. We have to also bear in mind that staff are able to insist on Section 44 of the Employment Rights Act, which basically says that should they deem their workplace to be unsafe from a health and safety perspective, that includes anything during coronavirus, then they are entitled to say they are not attending work, and they are entitled to not be discriminated against because of that. They are still entitled to all the rights that they would be. They are not allowed to face any repercussions for that. We've also got a big problem now that exists where workplaces are starting to reopen, but of course schools aren't. So people don't have childcare. And what happens in that situation? We would hope that employers would be understanding in that situation and potentially keep people on furlough that are in that position. But we are hearing that some employers are saying to people, you need to come back, as of Wednesday or you're fired. That is horrendous for people who are in that position, who literally they can't do anything with their children. Perhaps their partner is a key worker, perhaps they are a single parent, and they are not allowed to bring their children to grandparents. They are potentially not able to put them in school if they're not children of key workers. So what happens there? So there's a lot of things happening here at the moment for employers and employees as we start to move again in the system in England, that is. Scotland and Wales, of course, have different rules. In Scotland, we are not being told to go back into the workplaces. So there is that as well. It's lovely to see you too, Frank. Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate it very, very much. Good morning, Charlotte. I hope you are all right. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. I'm Lifestyle Coach for tuning in. It's lovely to see you again today. So that is the situation that we have with furlough in the UK at the moment. We are also this morning, the SEISS, the scheme for self-employed people. This is for sole traders and those in partnerships. That scheme has opened. So what has happened is those who are eligible have been contacted by HMRC and they have been given dates and times that they can log in from in order to claim. So some people's dates and times were first thing this morning. We have other dates and times going out for the rest of the week. But what happens there is you log in to your personal tax account on HMRC's website using your government gateway ID. And then you are able to apply for the grant to support self-employed people from there. So that is what you need to do. It only takes a couple of minutes. Apparently, it's incredibly straightforward and easy. Now, the one thing is that if your accountant usually does this type of thing for you, accountants are not able to apply on your behalf. They have only set this up under the system where the self-employed persons log in and not under an agent login. So you would have to do this yourself if you are self-employed. If you are unsure whether you are eligible for anything, you can go to the eligibility checker on the HMRC website. If you just Google SEISS eligibility checker, you will get that and you'll be able to check, and then it will talk you through the steps. It will tell you when your slot is available for you to go in and make your claim on that. So if you are self-employed, and that means you are a sole trader or you are in a partnership, this is not if you are a director of a limited company, you are not technically self-employed for the purposes of company law and HMRC. This is only for sole traders, and if those in partnerships, you can check on this. Now, if you have not submitted a 1819 tax return before the 23rd of April, you will not be eligible. So if you are not self-employed in that year, or if you are still late on submitting that return, you will not be eligible for this. Unfortunately, that is one of the conditions, is you have to have submitted an 1819 personal tax return by the 23rd of April this year, which would have been late anyway, and in order to qualify for this grant. So if you miss that hurdle, then you're not going to be eligible at all. This is a taxable grant. It is so you will have to pay tax on it through your personal tax return as well. So it's something important to note there. Now, if you have any questions on this or any of the topics I'm discussing, please do let me know in the comments. If you're getting value from what I am speaking about, please do share this broadcast out to your friends, your families, your likers, your fans, whichever platform you are on and whichever terminology is used on there. I would massively appreciate that. I'm a lifestyle coach says, does one need to log in within the slot or any time moving forward? So the timings that they've given you are a certain date and a certain time, and it says from. So it's kind of from 8 a.m. on the 13th, for example. So you can log in anytime after that time slot. What they've done is they've allocated dates and time slots to basically stop the system being overloaded and bombarded. Because if they just opened it and said, okay, now millions of people can suddenly log in using their government gateway. So they basically bolted this onto a system that already existed, and it would have been a system that was not built to withstand millions of people suddenly logging in at the same time. So what they've done is they've said, okay, you have dates and times that we're allocating you to avoid a mass rush on the system and it falling over. So, you know, have a look at the date and time on your information, and then at some point after that, you can log in and make this claim. So I hope that helps. You're welcome. That's no problem at all. Let's see if we've got any other questions on this matter. Hello, Rob. Thank you for tuning in. Joe, I am Scottish. I am in the Scottish borders. Let's see if we've got anything else from anyone else who's hopping in. I don't think so. If we've got anything over here in terms of comments, I cannot see any. Let's have a look. No, I think we are good on comments there. Okay, lovely. So the next thing I want to speak about, oh, I've got an itchy eye. There we go. The next thing I want to speak about is the UK economy. We've seen that it shrank by 5.8% in March. That is the fastest monthly pace on record, according to the ONS, the Office of National Statistics. They are saying that services and construction in particular saw record declines in that economic shrink in March, the largest economic shrink on record. So that's pretty dire in reality for the UK economy when it comes to looking at how deep a recession might be and what impact that is going to have on the rest of us. And we're also seeing that consumer spending shrank in April by a third. And this is the largest contraction in the 5-year history of tracking this, in the 5 years of the research that it has gone into consumer spending. It is the largest contraction that we've seen. So again, quite worrying. Oh, it looks like I'm getting a proposal on TikTok. Sham Froggy Fam, unfortunately, I am already married, so you cannot marry me. But thank you for the proposal nonetheless. What else have we got here? Global economic outlook has darkened since the IMF forecast last month. That is according to the MD of the IMF. She is saying that the outlook has got significantly worse. The fund will be publishing downward revisions to the global economic forecasts as well. She says that with the crisis still spreading, the outlook is worse than our already pessimistic predictions. Without medical solution on a global scale, for many economies, a more adverse development is likely. So, not only, of course, the UK economy going into serious issues with this, but this is a worldwide issue, of course, and it is having worldwide economic impacts as well. And it will take time for the worldwide economy to be pulled back out of this as well, because often if we have recessions in some parts of the world, things in other parts of the world can positively impact and help pull out of a recession. But that is not going to be the case with this, unfortunately. So that is where we are now, as it stands. There has been a leaked Treasury document as well, which says that ministers will have to raise taxes sharply. Possibly comes as no surprise. We've been spending billions of pounds, and at some point that will have to be repaid. Of course, there's the balancing offset of, if we want the economy to recover faster, we have to encourage spending, and to encourage spending, you don't do that by raising taxes. So there's a real balancing act to be made here, one which I spoke about as well yesterday. The leaked Treasury paper apparently sets out a proposed policy package of tax rises and spending cuts, which could have to be announced soon in order to enhance credibility and boost investor confidence. The document warns that the country could face a sovereign debt crisis unless the economy recovers quickly. Officials have played down the importance of the document, saying it was speculation, and don't say that it's not necessarily going to be policy enacted. But what is in the document are tax rises, which include a rise to income tax, an end of the triple lock on state pension increases, and a 2-year public sector pay freeze. They're all pretty stark, and they all hit individuals in their pockets. Public sector pay freeze, I can't imagine will be viewed very nicely, since it is the NHS staff that are, risking a huge amount at the moment in order to help us through this. So to have a public sector pay freeze is going to come as a nasty message to many, many people if this leaked Treasury document does get implemented and does become the way that we are going to be operating. So stark warnings on the tax front that we kind of expect, in all honesty. And I'm surprised there's not more taxes listed in that document other than income tax. I would expect that there may be some changes to corporation tax as well, to dividend tax, potentially as well at the same time. Beyond the stove, you're saying you're stuck here in New Zealand through all this, now looking for work, as there's a cautionary feeling of recession. Beyond the stove, are you from the UK and stuck in New Zealand, or are you living in New Zealand anyway? I would love to know that, beyond the stove on Periscope. That would be really interesting to know, because I suspect at this time, stuck in New Zealand is not one of the worst countries to be stuck in, given how they have dealt with this crisis at the moment. They seem to have dealt with it incredibly well. So perhaps not the worst place to be stuck if you are stuck somewhere. And it's a beautiful country as well. We went to New Zealand on our honeymoon and we absolutely loved it. It was a very, very beautiful country. You're from Wales and you're stuck in New Zealand. You could be stuck. I agree. It's not great to be stuck, thousands of miles from home during a pandemic. But, of all the countries in the world, perhaps not the worst one to be stuck in as well. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and your lockdown ends tomorrow. Okay, lovely. Because of the cases and how it's been dealt with there too, which has been quite incredible, really, compared to some other places. So we have seen that 267,000 bounce back loans have been made since its launch just over a week and a half ago. It's absolutely incredible. That is compared to 35,919 Sybil's loans that have been made. So significantly less. And Sybil's loans have, of course, been around for a much, much longer period of time. Spoke about the bounce back loans again yesterday and pretty much have done all last week as well. The bounce back loans are those loans that are £2,000 to £50,000 borrowing, 25% of turnover at 2.5% interest over a 6-year period. The bounce back loans are a very short application, typically 6 or 7 questions, one of which is what is your name and what are your bank, and another one is what are your bank details. So very, very simple system. And we've heard of some issues with some of the traditional lenders and what that looks like in terms of actually getting that money paid out. But what we've also heard is some of the newer lenders, some of the fintech businesses being able to pay out within hours, which has been incredibly interesting. Starling Bank, for example, opened up theirs on Monday. And I have heard from many, many people that within 3 or 4 hours, they actually had the funds in their bank accounts from 3 or 4 hours from its start of initial application. So it seems like the fintechs have certainly done incredibly well at getting these out. Perhaps the traditional banks, some of them have done very well. We've been hearing some great, great stories from a number. So I'm not bashing the traditional banks at all, the high street lenders. But we've also heard some horror stories from some of those as well. So it's been a real hit and miss for those. Leo and Casey, we are speaking about UK business and coronavirus and the various updates that are happening around those. So thank you so much for tuning in as well. So what else have we got? Oh, this is the other thing that I wanted to share. So this is really interesting to me because knowyourmoney.com has reported that it has done a survey of small firms and of all size firms, and it has come out reporting that many small firms have not received their furlough money yet, where furlough claims have been made and they've not actually received the cash. The survey results said that 85% of larger firms had received the money, but 56% of small businesses had and 34% of medium businesses had. So nearly half of small businesses not having received it. This is a really interesting one for me because this has not actually been my experience. My experience has been that this system has worked pretty well. So whether or not there's been an issue in the small businesses have not claimed it and therefore not received it, or what's happened here, I'm not quite sure. But all the small businesses and medium businesses I have spoken to that have submitted a claim have received their funds. There's not been anyone left languishing. Our clients have received their funds where we submitted claims on their behalf. Also in a huge number of Facebook groups, with small business owners, and no one is saying that they have not yet received their furlough money, which they have already submitted a claim for. So that is really, really interesting, whether or not these stats that Know Your Money are reporting are actually as a result of claims not being submitted correctly, or claims perhaps not going through, or maybe forgetting to submit claims, or whatever that might be, versus the reality that I'm seeing around the place. So that was a very confusing survey based on my experience that I have seen. So not sure what other people's views on that, whether other people are having problems claiming furlough and getting the cash received when they have claimed furlough for their staff or themselves. If you have had those issues, do let me know, because as I say, I've not heard of many of those, and I would like to know if there is happening, because I cannot see that from the stuff that I am reading and seeing. Good morning, James. Thank you for saying hello. I do appreciate it. So I'm going to take a drink of my tea. Any questions, do let me know, and I will come and answer those as well. Let me see. There we go. No, nothing there that I've not already answered. Let's have a look. Yeah, I did answer. I am in the Scottish Borders. That is where I am from. Let's see. Lovely. Any questions over on this side or here? Okay, I think I have got all the questions that have come through. I am live weekdays at 11 a.m. covering UK business and coronavirus updates. So I will be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. as well, Thursday at 11 a.m., wherever you are watching this. So whether you're watching on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, or in my Uncover Wealth community, my private Facebook group, which I invite all of you to join as well. If you are listening in other places, then I will be back at 11 a.m. UK. The Uncover Wealth Facebook group is where I announce everything first. So any information that I get all around these topics will be announced into the Uncover Wealth community first. There is also exclusive content in there, particularly when I do my Training Tuesday session, which is my live stream every Tuesday, covering a new topic for business owners. So if you are a business owner, entrepreneur, please do join me in the Uncover Wealth community. You can just type Uncover Wealth community into the search bar on Facebook and find it that way and request to join. I would love to have you in there. Barry's saying his workplace has just added an extra £100 on top of furlough. Yeah, this is an option, Barry, for employers. Employers are allowed to top up furlough payments should they wish. Should they choose, they are able to top up furlough up to 100% of salary if they want to. So that is not a problem at all in terms of topping up. The furlough payment is 80% up to a maximum of $2,500 per month. So if an employer chooses to top up, they can do that. They can top it up to more than $2,500 as well. If the employee's salary is typically more than that, then they can top it up as much as they want to, up to the employer's salary level. So any other questions, anything else that anybody else would like to share, then please do let me know in the comments. I think I've got them all. Yeah, I think I've got all the questions and all the comments there. So thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, I will be back again tomorrow at the same time at 11 a.m. on whichever channel you are watching. UK Business and Coronavirus Updates. I am Annette Ferguson. I'm CEO of Annette & Co, UK-based accounting firm. I'm a chartered accountant and certified Profit First professional. I help business owners take home more money from their business for them and their families to enjoy. Of course, now that can be incredibly challenging for many, many businesses, which is why I started these daily live streams to support you both during this time and beyond. So I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. If you want to catch up on the replay, then I do upload this to IGTV each day, so you can catch up and watch the replay there. If you are on Instagram or TikTok, if you're on any of the other platforms, of course, you'll be able to watch the replay natively wherever you are watching. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.